On Thursday night, designer Glen Poloso stopped by Lion's Timber Mart in the Soo for Ladies' Night. We had a chance to chat with him and get some designer tips. So what would you like people to take away from your presentation tonight?
So the idea of tonight is really to give people a sense of what the trends are. I have the opportunity to go to the London design shows and the shows in Milan and the shows in High Point, North Carolina. And so you get to see a lot of what's sort of happening, what's new, what's coming forward, sometimes way ahead of what's actually going to get here. So this is really sort of about what's sort of trending now and stuff that's sort of available to us now.
And you run Peloso Alexander Interiors with your co-founder Jamie. What have been some of the inspirations for your designer collection?
We created this line of furniture with Van Gogh, which is a manufacturer out in Vancouver. So it was really based on clients and what they were looking for, and that sort of started that whole inspiration for that collection.
And I read that you compared being a designer to being a chef. Can you explain that?
Lynn Crawford, who is a fairly well-known chef, she did Restaurant Makeover with me, and I did a bunch of work on her house. And at one point I said, the difference between what you do and what I do is that you bring me a finished meal. You just come out and say, this is what we're having tonight, and you show it to me, and I go, wow, a little bit different for me. I also have to create a meal for you with a bunch of raw products.
And I'm actually moving into a small apartment in May. What advice would you give me to kind of brighten up the space and make it seem bigger?
Ask your parents for more money and move into a bigger place. No, I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. So if you're working on a small space, and there are bunches of things you can do depending on how small it is. In a small space, if you work with essentially monochromatic colors, so if you say, I'm going to paint this space out completely in the same color, what happens is that every room borrows from the next. So you want to sort of zone off things using carpets or using some sort of detail that's going to say this is a particular space, and then have the majority of it be relatively monochromatic. Because essentially you're not going to create more space, you're just going to feel like you have more space, which is sort of the objective.
Yeah. So what can we expect to see for some summer design trends this year?
Yeah, so what's really popular right now is, and it doesn't seem so surprising, florals. Certainly we're going to stay on this sort of jewel-toned thing. And then there's a whole sort of movement that's still towards things that are slightly Moroccan. It has a Moroccan sort of hint to it, so that it has those shapes, it has some of those traditional shapes. Being on television is fun, but it's a way smaller group of people. So the actual contact you have, although when I'm presenting to specific clients, that interaction is really specific to you and me and what it is that we're working on. When you're with a bigger group, you get to sort of see what kind of things all kinds of people are thinking about and the kinds of spaces that they live in. And I also feel like there are occasions in which sometimes people think that, oh, well, you're this designer and you're on television and blah, blah, blah. I can't call you, you're unapproachable, or I wouldn't be able to ask you a question. And so a little bit sometimes you feel like, well, I've kind of lost touch with what the things are that people who are in a 2,000 square foot house are concerned about. I like people. Really the biggest reason I'm interested in being part of design is people. It is really people in space and how they interact with how their space works for them. And so I think it's interesting to sort of play with the people and find out what do they love and what do they care about, and then create a space that works for them. Yeah.
Well, I will definitely take your advice when I move into my new place. Appreciate it. Yes, I will. Reporting for SooToday, I'm Sadie Janes.